Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in to our second video. We want to thank everyone who sent us questions, and if you have a question that you'd like for us to answer, please send those in. You can message us on Facebook, email us, call us with your questions. We'll be more than happy to answer them in one of our upcoming videos. The question for today we received on Facebook: what is the best way to remove popcorn ceilings? Do they need to replace them with drywall, or can they be scraped? And also, should this be a project that can be tackled on your own? So, we are standing with Kelly Godwin, our Vice President and Project Manager of Kennamer Construction, and she is going to give us some information and some tips on that. So, Kelly?
Yeah, okay, so if you have popcorn ceilings, they're not great, but they happen, and it's okay. It really depends on how the popcorn ceiling was installed. A lot of times, it's put on drywall. It's a process where they spray the texture onto the drywall. So if it was sprayed onto the drywall before anything was primed or painted, you have a better chance of it coming off in a cleaner fashion. It's still a very messy process, just getting it scraped off and everything, but it is possible. One thing you definitely want to do is invest in some plastic sheeting. You can get that from any of our local hardware stores or the lumber companies, things like that, and they can help you. It's a very thin plastic that you can lay out to kind of catch all the mess, but so you can kind of tell if your popcorn ceiling is going to come off easily. If you kind of go to a small spot and spray it with some water, let it sit for a couple of seconds, and then try to scrape it off with like a putty knife. And it doesn't have to be anything wide. It could be a narrow putty knife just to try to get it started. So that way you can see if it's going to come off very easily. If it looks like it's going to be very tough to get off, you may want to look into completely covering your ceiling with sheetrock. We've had to do that at different projects because sometimes we can't get the popcorn off and make it look right. One thing you want to do, if you are able to scrape your ceilings and get that popcorn off, you want to get as much of it off as possible, and then try to be careful not to gouge the sheetrock. You may have to go back in and do some skim fine coating of the sheetrock mud or drywall mud, just to kind of help get that ceiling smoothed out. I've seen it before where people could just touch up little spots where it got dinged, or they have to actually go over the whole ceiling with drywall mud. So in that case, it's probably going to be less expensive to actually completely cover over your ceilings. Another thing to consider before trying to scrape your ceilings or cover over them, trying to decide which way to go. Sometimes if you have what they call rock wool insulation, or like the loose blown in insulation, it's probably easier if you want to have smooth ceilings. If it's not scrapable, then you definitely want to just cover it versus taking all that sheetrock down and putting back over it. Because if you start taking down the sheetrock, then you've got to redo all your insulation, and just causes a bigger mess and more of a cost incurred. So definitely try to test out a small spot with water, get it sprayed and scraped, and then look into the drywall process. If you feel like tackling that on your own, more power to you. If you can get it scraped, that's fine. It just takes a little bit of time, and it's very messy. So I would, again, invest in some plastic and probably some like coveralls or something to keep yourself covered, because it just gets a little gross and messy, and it'll get on your walls. So you may have to completely encapsulate your house with the plastic, or at least the room that you're working in, cover it with plastic. And then if it doesn't work out where you can scrape the ceiling, I would definitely recommend hiring somebody to hang and finish the sheetrock, because those people are very skilled at what they do, and they can make sure that your ceilings are beautifully smooth. And we're happy to recommend some people that we've worked with over the years, or again, the local lumber companies and hardware stores may be able to recommend somebody to do that sheetrock work for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Like I said, if you have a question you'd like to be answered, then please send us those. We'll be more than happy to feature that question in our next upcoming video.